Hi there! Today we'll be seeing how to apply for an AFP, also called as an Australian Federal Police Check. It is a document that many people will need in Australia if you're applying for a job, a visa, or even for volunteering. What it is an official background check that shows if you've got any criminal history in Australia. I will walk you through the application process, the documents required, cost, timelines, quotes, and some frequently asked questions at the end of the video. Just be mindful to apply for the right kind of police check that has been requested for you. I will cover this through the video anyway. For now, let's have a look at what documents you'll need to apply for your AFP. You will need to have your identity documents worth 100 points. This could be a combination of your primary documents and your secondary documents. Let's have a look at what these primary and secondary documents look like. Under your primary documents, you've got a couple of documents that are worth 70 points and a couple of documents that are worth 40 points. Similarly, under your secondary documents, you've got a couple that are worth 40 points, a couple that are worth 25 points, and a couple that are worth 20 points. What you have to do is provide a combination of documents from secondary and primary document lists that equate to 100 points. You must provide at least one document from the primary documents, and then you could have multiple documents from the secondary documents section. It is advisable that you have a combination of both, so not all documents only from primary and not all documents only from secondary. And the total of these documents should be 100 or more. For example, you can provide your foreign passport or your Australian passport, and that is worth 70 points. Now that you've got 70 points from your primary documents, let's have a look at what documents you can provide from your secondary documents so that your total is 100. From this section, I can select to provide my credit card or my bank account card, which could also be your debit card, which is worth 25 points. So that takes my points total to 95 points. I'm still not at that 100 points mark, so I need to provide another document from my secondary documents section. So I could provide my utility bill, like my electricity bill or my gas bill, and that's worth 20 points, which takes my total to 115 points, which is perfect. Whatever combination of documents you decide to choose from primary and the secondary list, just make sure that the total is 100 points or more. Also be mindful to have at least one document from the primary document sections and the remainder from your secondary document section. Once you've decided on the combination of documents that you're going to be using for your application, make sure to scan them or photocopy them and keep them handy, because you'll need to upload these during your online application. Just make sure that the documents are either in a PDF, JPEG, or a .TIFF format, and they're not more than 4 MB each. Now that you've got the documents ready, let's move on to the application. You will need to do the application from the Australian Federal Police's website. There are many other websites that claim to offer the AFP on your behalf, but immigration does not accept AFPs done via third parties. So just make sure that you're applying your AFP through the AFP website. There is also a difference between an AFP and an NCP. NCP is not accepted by immigration. I will talk a little bit about the difference between these two at the end of the video. For now, just remember that if you have been requested to do an AFP, you're actually applying for an AFP and the right type, whether it's only a name change or the one with the fingerprint. I've provided the link to the AFP website in the description below. Now, there are two ways in which you can apply for your AFP. One is you can apply online, and the second one is you can apply by post. If you need a name check only AFP, you can apply via post or online. But if you need a fingerprint scan, then you can only apply via a post application. Before we jump into looking at the application, let's understand the two types of AFPs that can be requested. The first one is name check only, and the second one is the one with the fingerprint scan. Generally, you will only be needing the name check AFP. But if you do need a fingerprint scan, your requester will specifically note that for you. Now, let's have a look at the application. You can do the application in two ways. You can either apply online or you can do it on a paper-based application and send it through by post. If you have been requested to do a fingerprint scan, the online application option is not available to you. You will need to do a paper-based application and post it. Just a couple of differences between the online application and the postal application. Obviously, the major one being the fingerprint scan. You can only apply for a fingerprint scan in a post-based application. In an online application, you upload your documents online. Post-based application, you scan these documents, print them out, and then send that through. Obviously, for the payment for online application, you just do it online, whereas for application by post, you'll need to do a bank check or a money order. The costs for postal or the online applications are almost the same. I'll cover these later in the video. Processing times for online and postal applications again vary. We'll cover these in detail later in the video. For this video, I'm going to be walking you through the online application. But if you need to do the on-paper application, the fields in the application are similar, just the presentation could be slightly different. If you are doing a paper-based application, just remember that you'll have to fill it out in black ink and use block letters. I will provide the link for the postal application for you in the description below. I am slowly building this channel to help people just like you. So if you do like my content and want to see more of these helpful videos, consider subscribing to the channel. For applying online, you will need to go to AFP's website and then select apply online. The first page gives you a bit of information and some instructions. Once you've read through it, you can check the box and then click on start online application. It will then ask you to select your identity documents worth 100 points. The good thing about online application is that you can see the total of your points at the bottom. For example, if I select Australian passport and then select credit card or a bank card and then utility bills, it will take my total to 115 points, which is completely acceptable. Obviously, your points will vary depending on what documents you are selecting. As long as you have more than 100 points, you're good to go. Once you've selected your combination of primary and secondary documents, you can tick the checkbox and click next. On this page, you will start filling out the applicant details like your family name, your first name, any middle names and the date of birth. Once you start filling out your family name, the little checkbox at the bottom will disappear. When you're providing your email, just make sure that you're putting in the right email address, because that's the email address at which you will receive your final AFP. The next section would be the purpose of the check. The purpose type for majority of the people would be Commonwealth employment purposes. But if you're applying for employment in Australian Capital Territory, you can select that. Now for the purpose of the check, there are quite a few options to select from. Depending on what you're applying for, you can select the code that is applicable to you. In majority of the cases, if you're applying the AFP for immigration purposes, which could be your visa or your citizenship, you will be selecting the code 33. Similarly, if you're going to be working with children and you've been requested to do an AFP, you can select the code 28 and so on. The next section of the form asks you if you need a hard copy certificate. If you do request a hard copy certificate, it will be mailed to your residential address. This can take a bit longer, so it can be between 10 to 25 business days. Generally, if you want to supply an AFP to immigration, then just getting an email is sufficient and you can just print that out or forward that through. Once you're done, click next. The next page will ask you for applicant consent. The first part of it will note what type of check it is. So in this case, it is for name check only. It will show you your first name, last name, and your date of birth. Check that you've put everything right. Read through the consent items that are given, and then once ready, check the box and click Next. This section will ask you to upload your documents. Make sure to upload the documents that you've selected in the first step. If you haven't selected a document in the first step and you want to provide that, then you will have to go back and click that document from the list. If you tick different list of documents and provide different list of documents, then you might have to redo your AFP. So just be careful of what you've ticked and what you're uploading. So to upload your first document, select Choose File. It will give you the option to choose from your desktop and select the file that you need. We've seen that it only accepts 3 types of document extensions. So if you do upload a document that is not in one of those extensions, it will give you an error. Anyway, once you're done, click Next. On the next page, you can then see the applicant details. It will ask you for the country of your birth and your daytime contact number. You can also provide your Australian driver license number and the issuing state, but this is not mandatory. If you've had any other names in the past, or if you've done a name change, then this is the section for you. So make sure to click Yes if you've had a name change. In my case, I did, so I have clicked Yes. It then prompted me with another section. This section is the other names section. You just need to provide what your former name was. And once you're done, click Next. This section asks you for your current residential address. It will ask you if you currently live in Australia. If you say yes, started living at this address. If you haven't lived at your current address for more than 10 years, the application will prompt you to provide previous addresses. For most of my AFPs that I have done, I've provided previous address details up to 5 to 6 years. Once you've provided all your addresses and you're happy with it, click Next. This section will ask you to confirm your details. Read through the details and make sure they are correct. You can also open the identification documents that you have listed, just in case you want to see what you've attached. Once you're done, tick the check boxes and then click Next. This section will ask you to provide your card details and pay online. Once you've typed in your card details and clicked on Pay, your application should be processed. Once your payment has gone through, you will receive an email on the email address that you provided with your AFP application reference number and your payment receipt. After your AFP has been processed, you will receive another email stating that it has been processed, and you will receive another email with the attached digital certificate within 24 hours. There are a couple of things you need to be mindful about in an online application. Make sure that you haven't made any mistake while you're doing this application, because as soon as you hit that submit button, that's it. Your application goes for processing instantly. You do not have a chance to call them or make any changes to what you've provided in the application. So if you've provided some wrong details and your AFP is rejected, then you'll just have to apply another one. Let's have a look at the costs now. So the online application for name only check is about $56. Now this is valid at the time of me making this video. It can change, so have a look on the AFP website for the new costings. If a fingerprint scan has been requested for you, then it would be a name plus fingerprint scan, which would be about $113. Now this fee excludes your costs for postage and any fingerprint scanning costs that you might incur. Let's talk about timelines now. If you're applying online for a name check only, it can take anywhere between 5 to 10 business days. In my experience, it's only taken about 3 business days before I've received it, but the official website says 5 to 10 business days. This is because as soon as you submit your online application, it goes in for processing. There are definitely some caveats here. while you're filling out your online application, if you have ticked that you want to receive a hard copy, that will definitely take longer, between 25 to 30 business days. If you are posting a hard copy application for name change, again, the processing time for that can vary. A name check and a fingerprint check application can take up to 15 to 30 business days. A fingerprint check can be requested if you're applying for, say, a security guard licensing, or even for visa applications for some countries. There are a couple of common mistakes that people make that you can definitely avoid so that you get your AFP on time. First one is that they apply through a wrong website. For immigration purposes, they will only accept AFPs done through the Australian Federal Police's website. So make sure you're applying through there. If you're applying for your visa or immigration purposes, you choose the wrong code. So if you are providing an AFP for your visa or for your citizenship, the code will be 33. Which is always for your immigration. Another mistake people make is uploading documents that are quite blurry and unreadable. Another one is uploading incorrect documents. You've selected something else and you've uploaded something else. Don't do that. Another mistake I've seen is that your application name doesn't actually match your ID names. So just make sure that the application name matches your ID name. The first one being, what is the difference between an AFP and an NCP? AFP is Australian Federal Police Check, as we've seen, and NPC is a National Police Check. NPCs are state-based police checks which are done by the police of that state. They're normally used as background checks or for employment purposes, but they're not accepted for immigration purposes. The second question is, do I need to attach attested documents? And the answer is no, you do not need to attest any of the documents that you're going to be uploading for your AFP. As long as your documents are readable and not blurry, you should be fine. Just make sure that your documents are in the format that they need, that we've covered earlier in the video. The third question being, what happens if I don't have 100 points for the documents? In this situation, the best option is to contact AFP and they will talk you through what you can do in your situation. Another one is, can I make any corrections if I've got something wrong? And the answer to that question is depends on how you've applied. If you've applied an online application, then no, you cannot make any changes. You just have to make sure that you've got all the information right in the first instance. Whereas if you're doing a postal application, you might have a little bit of a grace period. So just give them a call and see if there is a chance to make any corrections. And the last one is, how long is AFP valid for? Generally speaking, AFP is valid for 12 months, but it also depends on the requesting authority. Fantastic! You now know how to apply for an AFP. If you want to know how to apply for a PCC, check this video out. Or if you're a foreign national and you want to apply for a PCC, check out this video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.